Most people never consciously decide to become financially trapped. It happens slowly, quietly, through hundreds of small decisions that feel completely normal because everyone else is doing the exact same thing. The same neighborhoods, the same car payments, the same vacations, the same subscriptions, the same lifestyle expectations. And over time, people begin building lives designed less around freedom and more around social conformity. That's the hidden danger of living like everyone else. The costs are often invisible while they're happening. Because modern culture doesn't just influence what people buy, it influences what people believe a normal life is supposed to look like. And for millions of people, maintaining that version of normal has quietly become financially exhausting. Today, I'm going to explain the hidden costs of living like everyone else, the psychological pressures quietly destroying financial freedom, why average lifestyles have become extraordinarily expensive to maintain, and why some of the wealthiest people financially often look surprisingly ordinary from the outside. Because once you understand how social expectations shape spending behavior, you start realizing many financial decisions were never fully your own to begin with. Let's begin with one of the biggest hidden costs of all: lifestyle autopilot. Most people never intentionally design their financial life. They inherit it socially. They observe what people around them do, then unconsciously copy it. Where to live, what to drive, how often to travel, what success looks like, what middle-class life is supposed to include. And because these standards feel socially normal, people rarely question whether they actually improve long-term happiness or financial security. This creates an incredibly dangerous pattern. People optimize for fitting in instead of building freedom. And fitting in has become extraordinarily expensive. Consider the modern, normal lifestyle: a financed car, a large mortgage, streaming subscriptions, frequent dining out, luxury smartphones, annual vacations, convenient spending everywhere. Individually, none of these seem catastrophic. That's exactly why they're dangerous. The financial destruction happens gradually enough to feel harmless. One payment at a time, one subscription at a time, one lifestyle upgrade at a time, until eventually, people realize most of their income is already committed before they even get paid. This is one reason so many people earning decent incomes still feel financially anxious constantly. Not because they necessarily lack income, but because the cost of maintaining socially normal life became incredibly high. And social media intensified this problem dramatically. For most of history, people compared themselves locally: neighbors, coworkers, friends. Now, people compare themselves globally every single day. Luxury lifestyles are constantly visible: perfect homes, designer kitchens, luxury vacations, expensive clothing, beautiful apartments, high-end restaurants. And repeated exposure changes perception psychologically. What once looked luxurious slowly starts feeling ordinary. This process is extremely important to understand. Humans adapt to environments quickly. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation. The emotional excitement fades, but the financial obligations remain permanently. A luxury apartment feels exciting for 6 months. Then it simply becomes normal. The expensive car feels rewarding temporarily. Then it becomes emotionally invisible, while the payment continues every month for years. This creates one of the most financially destructive loops in modern society. People continuously upgrade their lifestyle, searching for lasting satisfaction, while adaptation quietly removes the emotional reward faster than expected. The result is endless consumption without lasting fulfillment. And because everyone around them is participating too, the behavior feels reasonable. That's the hidden social cost of living like everyone else. People stop evaluating purchases based on long-term value. They evaluate them based on social normalcy. Everyone has this. Everyone upgrades. This is just what adults do. But normal behavior does not necessarily create financial security. In fact, average financial behavior often produces average or below average financial outcomes. This becomes painfully obvious later in life. Many people spend decades appearing financially successful while quietly building very little actual freedom underneath, because modern lifestyles increasingly prioritize appearance over ownership. The financed luxury SUV, the upgraded house, the designer products, the expensive vacations. Much of modern middle-class life is built on recurring payments rather than fully owned assets. And recurring payments reduce flexibility. That's one of the biggest hidden costs people underestimate. Dependency. The more expensive the lifestyle becomes, the more dependent someone becomes on continuous income. A person with a massive mortgage, luxury car payments, subscriptions everywhere, private schools, rising fixed costs, may appear successful publicly, while privately feeling trapped professionally, because stepping away from income no longer feels possible safely. This is why many high earners secretly feel financially fragile despite strong salaries. Their lifestyle expanded faster than their freedom did. And once fixed costs rise high enough, stress becomes permanent. A layoff becomes terrifying. A recession becomes personal. Burnout becomes dangerous. Because the system requires constant maintenance. This creates another hidden cost of living like everyone else. Time poverty. Many people no longer simply work to survive. They work continuously to maintain lifestyle systems, mortgage systems, debt systems, consumption systems. And the higher the lifestyle expectations become, the more work becomes mandatory rather than optional. This is one reason modern burnout feels so widespread. People aren't just tired physically. They feel trapped psychologically, because reducing income would often require reducing identity itself. That's an uncomfortable truth many people avoid discussing openly. Lifestyle and identity became deeply connected. The neighborhood, the car, the school district, the vacations. These things become symbols of personal progress and self-worth. So downsizing feels emotionally painful, even when financially rational. And modern culture reinforces this constantly. People are encouraged to display success publicly, not quietly build freedom privately. That distinction changes entire financial futures. Because wealth and visible consumption are often opposites. The people who appear wealthy publicly are frequently carrying enormous obligations underneath. The people quietly building wealth often look surprisingly ordinary externally. This is why many actual millionaires drive practical vehicles, avoid flashy spending, and maintain relatively modest lifestyles compared to what social media portrays as successful. They understand something many people never fully realize. Every dollar spent maintaining appearances is a dollar no longer building future freedom. And freedom compounds just like investments do. The lower your fixed costs become relative to income, the more resilient your life becomes. This creates another hidden cost most people underestimate: the opportunity cost of consumption. Every expensive lifestyle choice has two prices: the visible price today, and the invisible future wealth that money could have become if invested instead. A $900 monthly car payment isn't just $900. Invested over decades, it may represent hundreds of thousands of dollars in future retirement assets. An oversized home isn't just a larger mortgage. It's potentially years of additional work required later in life. But humans struggle emotionally with opportunity cost because future outcomes feel abstract compared to immediate gratification. This is one reason long-term wealth building feels psychologically difficult in modern society. The rewards are delayed. Consumption provides instant emotional stimulation. Wealth building provides future optionality. And optionality is emotionally invisible while you're building it. That's why financially disciplined people often appear boring short-term. But long-term, they frequently gain something far more valuable than visible luxury: control over their time. That may be the ultimate hidden cost of living like everyone else: loss of autonomy. When lifestyles become too expensive, people lose negotiating power over their own lives. They stay in jobs they hate, remain in stressful environments, delay retirement, delay freedom, not because they lack income, but because their obligations became too large to comfortably escape. Modern consumer culture quietly encourages this dependency constantly. Monthly payment culture normalized almost everything: cars, phones, furniture, vacations, clothing, electronics, buy now, pay later. But every recurring payment quietly claims future income before it even arrives. And eventually, many people discover large portions of their paycheck are already spoken for permanently. This creates chronic financial pressure. And pressure changes behavior psychologically. People become more anxious, more reactive, more emotionally exhausted. Financial fragility affects mental health far more than most people realize. Even relatively high earners often feel constant low-level stress because their margin disappeared completely. That's another hidden cost of living, like everyone else. The normalization of financial anxiety itself. People increasingly assume it's normal to feel stressed about money constantly, carry debt permanently, live paycheck to paycheck, worry about retirement endlessly. But many of these problems are heavily connected to lifestyle structures people adopted automatically through social influence. There's another important layer to this problem. Consumption became emotional coping. People spend not only because they need things, but because consumption temporarily changes emotional states. Stress shopping, convenience spending, luxury purchases after difficult work weeks, impulse buying during emotional lows. Consumption became self-medication for lifestyles people secretly dislike maintaining. And companies understand this psychology extremely well. Modern marketing no longer sells products primarily. It sells emotional transformation, confidence, status, belonging, success, escape. People increasingly buy identities instead of objects. But identity-based spending becomes extremely expensive long-term because identity constantly requires updating and maintenance. There's always another upgrade, another trend, another expectation. The finish line keeps moving, and because the surrounding culture continues escalating expectations, many people unconsciously spend more every year simply trying to remain normal. This creates a deeply important financial paradox. The average lifestyle is becoming increasingly unaffordable, while still being socially treated as ordinary. That's why so many middle-class families feel financially squeezed, despite earning incomes previous generations might have considered impressive. The system absorbed the raises. Housing absorbed them. Lifestyle inflation absorbed them. Convenience culture absorbed them. Debt absorbed them. Subscriptions absorbed them. And because the process happened slowly, many people never fully noticed how financially dependent they became. Until one day they realize they cannot stop working comfortably, cannot handle emergencies easily, cannot retire confidently, and cannot reduce income safely. That realization feels terrifying, because beneath the appearance of stability, very little flexibility actually exists. But there's something important to understand. Living differently from everyone else financially often feels uncomfortable socially at first. Driving older cars, avoiding lifestyle inflation, living below your means, not constantly upgrading everything. These choices may appear behind in a culture obsessed with visible progress. But long-term, they often create something most people quietly want more than status itself. Peace. Financial peace comes from margin. From knowing your life does not require maximum income constantly just to survive. From knowing emergencies are manageable. Retirement is possible. Freedom exists. That's the irony most people discover too late. The people most obsessed with appearing successful often become the most financially dependent. The people least interested in impressing others frequently become the most financially free, because living like everyone else may feel socially safe short-term, while quietly becoming financially dangerous over decades.